All right, we're back. It's Saturday. The Phillies are up 2-1 on the Braves. That's the most important thing about this weekend. And there's a game this afternoon, so we got to get going and get this stuff done by 2 o'clock. So we're out on the bathroom. We just finished the door casing.
It's not a horror scene, I promise.
Yeah, it's not terrible. We needed this door casing on first because we needed to know how we were gonna put the tile in this little sliver here. So now the game plan is to try to get the shower tiled before 2 o'clock. We got these little tiles. We'll go show them in a minute. And we're not going tub to ceiling. We're probably gonna go up, I guess we're gonna go up above.
Definitely want to go above the shower head.
Yeah. I was looking at my house, like my South Philly house, in the one bathroom, and it's below the shower head, but it kind of looks like crap.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go above the shower head, above these lines where the up into the drywall. So it'll still go pretty high. I mean, I guess theoretically we could go to the ceiling if we really want to. There's nothing stopping us, but I don't know if I bought enough tile for that. So that's the game plan for today, and then tomorrow we'll hopefully do the floor or finish up the shower if we don't get it done today.
Another good thing about not going to ceiling, this old ass house probably doesn't have flat ceilings.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that if you go to the ceiling.
Yeah, we learned that lesson at the Langhorne house. It's like a little skinny line along the top.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll go pretty high, but probably won't go all the way. So yeah, so that's the game plan. Let's go take a look at the tile that I have. So this is the floor tile. It's probably about 8x8, 9x9, something like that. So it's not terribly small, not terribly large. It has a pattern though, so you got to make sure you arrange it in the correct
God,
way.
we're going up.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for that. I think it's supposed to go like that, and it eventually makes like a diamond out of those. So have to make sure we don't screw that up.
Should we ask the boss before we do that?
Yeah, my beautiful wife Lon is very picky about that. And then of course she picked these tiles for the shower. These tiny little, I don't know, 4x4, 5x5 tiles. So it'll take us a little while.
And they got like that texture on the edge. It's not just flat. It's got the,
it
gives it a living dimension.
Right. So this will be interesting. All right, that's what we got.
Let's get it.
All right, Johnny and I were just taking some measurements. Well, first of all, we put our Schluter piece on. We got the laser level set up, which I think it's covered at the moment with the drop cloth, but we put the laser level to make sure that this is level all the way up, and we need to make sure that it's either flush or coming out a little bit with this piece of sheetrock here, because we're gonna spackle, or joint compound for all you haters out there, out to it to make it flush there. And then the other thing that we did is we took a measurement from the tub all the way up to the top of the Schluter piece, and then divided by our tile plus our spacer amount. Comes out to about 13 pieces, or actually it was 13 on the dot. So we'll see how well that turns out. The problem spot is here. We got the, take this width and divide it by the size of the tile and the spacer amount, and we got like 6.4. So what we're gonna do is full tile over here, and then a fourth of a tile in this corner all the way up, and we're gonna have a stacked pattern all the way up. Hopefully that looks okay.
You keep saying a fourth.
Or not what is it, 40th?
4/10, yeah.
4/10, sorry.
2/5, whatever we'll call
Yeah,
it.
sorry. Bad my fractions. All right, that's what we're gonna do. Most of you can probably tell that I'm not exactly a tiling expert, but we do eventually finish the tile in this bathroom. And personally, I think we did a pretty good job. However, we definitely learned some lessons along the way. The first thing I'll say when it comes to tile is that preparation is key. Try to make sure all of your surfaces are as flat, square, and plumb as possible. Like John already mentioned, one of the toughest parts can be tiling to the ceiling. If the ceiling is not parallel to the floor or top of the tub, you're going to see an angle on your last row of tile. The other piece of preparation, which I think is the most important, is to lay out your tile before setting it with thinset. It's tedious and kind of a pain in the butt, but trust me, it's necessary. You can use something like painter's tape to tape the tile into place temporarily, and then insert your spacer and continue along the wall that you will be tiling. This is the best way to figure out if you're going to end up with really tiny cuts, or maybe a fat piece of tile on one side and a skinny piece on the other. Don't forget to do this up the wall and on the floor as well. Also,
Make a note of all your penetration cuts in advance, and make sure you have the correct tools to make the cuts. You may have noticed that John and I started on the side of the tub with the plumbing, but we quickly realized that we didn't have a hole saw bit to cut the penetration for the tub spout. Once we realized, it turned into a Home Depot trip and slowed down the rest of our progress. Oh, and my last little preparation tip. However much tile you think you need, add another 10 or 20%. Floor & Decor even has a handy little checkbox to help you buy some contingency tile. You're going to mess up cuts, so it's better to have extra tile that you can return as opposed to not having enough to finish the job. Tile is a painstaking process. Due to the materials involved, it's not the type of job where you can spend 2 hours here and 3 hours there. Set a day, prepare as best as possible, and then work on the tile for as long as you possibly can or until the job is done. We made that mistake here because we only worked from 9 to 2, and we paid for it the next day.
All right, like normal, we didn't get nearly as much done as we wanted. It's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We got this one wall done, and John got this side done, which is nice. That's all, most of the cut pieces. We got one more cut up here. We realized about 5 seconds in that we didn't have the diamond hole saw bit, so John had to run to Home Depot, and the closest Home Depot to here is like 20 minutes away. So, but you know, looks pretty good. Kind of happy with it, and we'll try to get this wall and this wall done tomorrow. All right, we're back on Sunday morning. We called it quits around 2 o'clock yesterday because the fills came on, and they're now on their way to the NLCS. So that's what's important. But now we're back. We did not make it nearly as far as we were going to in the morning, as you can probably see. John, if you want to come this way. We did make it up this wall, so that's good at least. These tiles are very weird. They're squares, but if you look closely, they're like, you know, they're not perfectly cut. They're manufactured to be like off, you know. So they look cool. I do like the way they look, but they are definitely interesting to put on. We do have one little problem up here too that we gotta find that piece of Schluter and probably put that little piece of Schluter up there. That's about the only thing I can think of to solve that problem, because otherwise we're gonna have just the cut piece hanging off the end. They don't really make a bull nose for this style of tile that we could find, at least. So John did a good job cutting out around all the, you know, obstructions yesterday.
I just won't get too close.
Yeah, don't get too close to it. And then, you know, now we got a pretty clean shot all the way up the wall. We'll have to do one more cut for the shower head. But other than that, we got a pretty clean wall to go up. And then obviously we got this wall to go up. So my goal today is to just try to get these walls done. I don't think we're going to make it to the floor this weekend.
Oh, come on. Yes, we are.
And we got Eagles Sunday Night Football against Dallas week.
Tower, this is Eagle 1, requesting a flyby.
In South Philly tonight at 8 or 8:30. So getting back to my house is going to be a zoo. So I'm trying not to be here too late today. But that's the game plan. I will say John stole these from our uncles. They're actually masonry tools. I think it's called like a brick pointer or some kind of pointing tool. It's been working well in between the tiles to scoop out stuff or to scoop across the top.
Yeah, doing that kind of prevents the squeeze out.
Yeah, you don't get as much squeeze going on. You still want, you know, your toothbrush or some kind of brush handy. Mike has a good Tuesday tip.
If you're tiling and you get a lot of thin set coming popping out your joint, in order to clean it up real easy, you use a toothbrush. So you see here it's popping out too much. I got to clean that up a little bit.
For getting the tile that oozes out between when you push it down. But this helps with that. If you give it a good line across the top once you do squeeze it out, then hopefully it doesn't happen to you on the next row. So something to keep in mind. He had, I think this is 3/8 inches. I picked one up this morning as a 1/4 inch. So you got different sizes. So we'll use these in different scenarios. That's it. We're going to keep moving. So go Birds.
Let's take a minute or two to talk about the equipment you're going to need to tile your bathroom. Obviously, you're going to need the tile and the thin set to adhere the tile to your surface, but you're also going to need and/or one, buckets to mix the thin set, buckets to hold clean water, sponges, a trowel, small and medium-sized level, spacers to evenly space your tile, a snap tile cutter, possibly a wet saw, a grinder with diamond blade, probably a diamond hole saw bit, and my new personal favorite is the diamond beveling chamfer bit. If you go to your local supply store, you're going to see a million other tools and materials. But for the tiling portion of this job, and by that I mean before we get to the grout, I think this is a pretty good list of things that you'll need to get the job done. Also, most tiles have some kind of bullnose or pencil nose version that you can use as a terminating piece. This way, you don't have to see the ugly edge of your tile. However, the cheaper and sometimes necessary version is to use something like the Schluter piece that we showed earlier. We caught some flack from Mikey Plumbs for not using Schluter around the top edge of our tile, but personally, I didn't think it was necessary for this type of tile.
Alright, last wall. What we just did, we're doing some prep.
Ignore John's cut up here.
My cut. Oh, get out of here. It's money. So, doing the last wall, we gotta get ready. First thing we did was do prep. We want to figure out, are we going to need a cut piece? And if so, what size? So, me and Richard held up pieces, used our spacers, went all the way down. Realized we were going to have a little sliver over here. We don't like that. So we decided to just cut the difference. We're going to do a 3-inch piece here, go down, see how big the last piece is.
It's probably going to come out to about 3, 2.5 to 3. So it's going to be pretty indistinguishable.
Exactly.
So
you never want a sliver. You never want small little pieces. One, they're hard to cut, and two, it looks bad.
Right.
So we're going to go with a nice, hefty 1/2-inch piece here. Probably end up with close to another
3-inch piece.
Right, a little bit over 3 inches, or a little bit over 1/2 inch.
I don't know why you keep saying 1/2 inch. 3 inches.
3
That's
inches.
what I'm going to cut.
A little bit over half of tile.
Right.
That's what I'm going for.
Right. So like if you look at that wall, the left-hand piece is 3 inches. The right-hand piece is about 4 inches. You know, I guess we could have technically got them to match perfectly, but it's pretty tough to do that. Mm-hmm. And then this side, they match pretty stinking close on this side. So you can tell these walls are slightly different sizes.
What was it, like 3 and 3.5 inches over here?
Something like that, yeah. So they're pretty close on the two right-hand sides, or on the right side and the left side. And then also to follow up on what we did from yesterday, we ended up getting that piece of Schluter. So there's that tiny piece of Schluter just up there to kind of cover up that cut piece. So that's the last of this wall. You know, so right now John's wiping down the wall, scraping off any of the thin set we might have gotten on there, just try to get it as cleaned up as possible, and we'll get rocking and rolling on this guy.
We finally made it to the nice big flat wall. At this point, the job gets a little bit easier because we're able to use full pieces of tile for long stretches of the wall. While we watch John work his magic, let's chat about what he's doing. You can see him using the trowel to take some of the thin set and apply it to the wall. He'll then use the notches in the trowel to create ridges in the thin set. Once he applies the tile to the thin set, he'll wiggle the tile back and forth in order to collapse those ridges underneath the tile. If you're using very large tiles, or you're just generally nervous about the tiles not adhering well enough, you can also back butter the tiles when you apply them to the walls. Once the tile is set, make sure to use your spacers to maintain consistent spacing around each tile. One other thing I'd recommend is to pull the spacers out once the thin set has hardened to the point where the spacers aren't necessary. Unfortunately, I left my spacers in until the next day, and then some of them broke off in an awkward fashion. That makes them very difficult to remove without chipping your tile. While John was cruising on the shower wall, I decided to figure out the layout for the bathroom floor. Figuring out the layout for the bathroom floor can be more difficult than the shower walls due to all the obstructions like vanity, toilet, and tub, so make sure to take all those items into account. Once you actually start tiling though, I think you'll find that the floor can be a little bit easier since gravity is working with you. The number one piece of equipment I would absolutely recommend when tiling the floor are knee pads. Your knees are going to be in a lot of pain if you crawl around on cement board for 4 to 5 hours without any kind of protection. Anyway, we managed to get all the tiles set before the end of the night, and I think it turned out pretty good. We were exhausted, but luckily we got home just in time to watch the Eagles beat the Cowboys.
We made it. It's 7:15. We started about 9 in the morning. We took about a 45-minute break for lunch, and we got it done. Take a look. Somehow, some way. Oh yeah. So happy Sunday. Go Birds. Go Phils. We'll see you soon.